genuinely in 2020, if you find a guy who says he does not clean, he does not cook, wachana na ujama. That's a lost soul.
The guys who you chill with day in, day out, either feed you and help you guys help each other, or it's me that, me ball, yes, my name, same cycle.
Because we have to look at society like as a collective. If we single out bits, we can see where women are favored more and we can see where men are favored more. I think we have aspects that fall on each side.
Yeah. I personally tend to think, there is no such thing as toxic masculinity.
Really?
Why? Simply because it changes from every single individual.
True.
The crux of the problem, the fact that every society has a certain lens per se of what masculinity is, means that there are already misfits in that society.
Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Libisha Chat Corner. As you can see, today we have the guys here and we're talking about everything to do with masculinity, being a man in the 21st century, challenges, experiences, and all that. So you guys ready? Yeah?
Yeah.
So can we start with what's the definition of masculinity? What does masculinity mean to each of you?
I don't know, it's a lot of things.
Like?
Senior alikuwa anaongea kuhusu from your last episode about polygamy. Yeah, he was giving me the situation of if you have to be emotionally available for like one woman or one wife, then it should be think about like 2 or 3 others. You get, so maybe masculinity is not putting yourself pneuma, but being self-aware that there are other people's needs before yours. So you have to approach that in a responsible way. Si ati kujam tu. Kondeni, staki, alafu ishie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other inputs? Senior, what does masculinity mean to you? Because he's thinking a lot, yeah?
It's not an
Yeah.
But come on, you guys are guys.
So,
Yeah.
You live this every day.
In my head, I think of it like this is there are things you can be inherent with you being a man.
Yeah.
Right? Some attributes, there is how you go on. I fall more on the faith-based angle, right?
Yeah.
Like as a man, Allah ordained you with some responsibility, just as you mentioned, right?
Yeah.
So to that end, there are some attributes that perhaps you feel like need to be more advanced than others.
Yeah, like what?
I mean, the protection aspect.
Yeah.
That's one of them. That's not to say that that's all you do, but because if you look at the marriage context, the wife is your amana, you're protecting.
Yeah.
Like she's your responsibility, right?
Yeah.
So you can be almost like a sounding board to some things that happen in your life. So, but it's not just one thing.
Yeah.
It's not one thing.
Exactly, but to you personally, what do you interpret as masculinity?
I'd say personally being a man is taking care of your own,
Yeah.
being a man of the word. Those two things.
Yeah, a man of principles.
Man of principle are so pivotal in this. How
Yeah.
you start. Because as you go on with life, you unfold other things. Because I don't think there's one. I think there's going to answer the question. Like, who's that guy? Like, that person you feel like, you're a man.
Yeah. That's why I'm asking everybody. Yeah, that's why I'm asking to you, what do you think? Because everybody has different ideas of what it means to be a man. There's no like synonymous definition where this is how being a man is and anything is contrary. That's why all of you are here, because you have different opinions and different views.
Yeah.
Ali?
For me, being a man is first about yourself as an individual, having the values to live your truth and chart your own path, and then translate that to guiding other people in your life.
Okay. Right.
That's a nice answer.
Yeah, because basically what he's saying is you define what masculinity is to you, depending with your values and your principles.
Yeah.
Okay. Then to piggyback off that, is there such a thing as toxic masculinity?
Yeah. Now, toxic masculinity is the popular, what a man is Kuna mandevu, Jama, has nice cars or smells good. All those things are relative. But when you see, or when you go online and you see what is a man, especially when ladies, like I don't want to attack you or anything, but even among men, kuna chali anaweza kama kuna watch poa, ananukia, he's well put, you look at yourself, you're like, guy, mimi niko tu hapa naishi maisha yangu.
But being a man is not materialistic. So the cars and the watch, does that make you a man?
Well, certain things.
As a man, you're taught to provide. So with that comes, you have to have a car, you have to have, okay, not to have, but kuna pressure from society, from external factors where you need to, hata kama it's not your first priority, at some point unasema maze, itabidi. So,
And for me, I relate toxic masculinity with you defining your masculinity based on the societal definition, which is a whole spectrum, all the way from brute behavior to having a certain appeal to owning certain things which make you either more or less of a man.
Yeah, like a man does not cook, mwanaume aingie jikoni, mwanaume afanyi kazi ya nyumba.
Mwanaume anafaa kuwa na nguvu, mwanaume anafaa kuwa like, there's certain things. I feel like there's a certain definition that's already out there of what a man is supposed to be, including the amount of provision, the physical strength, the leadership, the masochism, and sometimes the ego too.
Yeah. But is it all unfounded? Like, did society get it completely wrong that everything that's stereotypically considered manly and masculine is wrong?
No.
Because I feel like there's some aspects that actually are true.
Maybe just to chime in, I'm thinking, right?
Yeah.
Just as I started, right?
Yeah.
We're created differently, right? Men and women. And Allah created us with these certain attributes for men, with certain attributes for women.
Yeah.
Now you'll note that, not to say women are more emotional, but they're more sensitively attuned.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
Then what that does is, how is it open to interpretation to everyone else? Right?
Yeah.
How do now people look at it and say, this is how a woman should be, and based on this they should act ABC? Same way with the men. There are those attributes that were Allah created us with, right? For him to end up saying we're the protectors, right? Created with those attributes. So then when you fall back to society, it's our own interpretations that then start to bubble it up.
Yeah.
I personally tend to think, there is no such thing as toxic masculinity.
Really?
Why? Simply because it changes from every single individual.
True.
Right?
Yeah.
It's not one thing that's toxic. It's, for me, I can do something, and depending on our dynamic with society, with anyone else that's involved, that becomes something that's a bit more toxic.
Yeah, because even different cultures.
It's so fluid that we can't just call it one thing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Of course, there are those highlights, like people say, men are not supposed to cook, men are not supposed to clean, do chores and stuff like that. But then again, I fall back into what my biggest influence is, which is religion.
Yeah.
And you see that the most beloved man, the Prophet, used to do all that.
Yeah.
Right? So then that tells you it's our interpretation that starts giving this idea of toxic, right? It gives it a bit of credence.
Yeah, so it's up to interpretation. Yeah, because I think different cultures, different societies have different rules for how they function. So maybe in one context, something is considered toxic in a European or Western situation, but in either what's Asian or African context, it's totally normal and totally acceptable, and people don't have a problem with it.
Are we talking about the I feel like there's the basic general toxic traits, like
yeah, there is.
Like
if a man is abusive,
I'm walking.
Yeah.
As you said, like different cultures, different what. And
yeah, because there's some cultures where, as a woman, if your husband does not beat you up, it means he does not love you, and it's still a thing. There's certain communities that strongly believe in that, and for us, we're like, what? How dare you? But it's their culture, and it's something that's ingrained in them. So I think it depends what lens you look at things, because where some of our experiences and our environment and what values are instilled in us. So yeah.
And I feel like that is also the crux of the problem. The fact that every society has a certain lens per se of what masculinity is means that there are already misfits in that society. And regardless of what, say, the Kenyan people define what masculinity is, different to the Europeans, different to what, there are always going to be people who do not necessarily fit that definition.
Yeah.
And that creates undue pressure regardless of the context.
Yeah.
So for example, in a society that hails abuse as a means of dominance, I don't know, a man who does not beat up his wife or his partner appears to be less masculine. Same way in a society that believes a man is supposed to provide, a man that does not do that is considered less masculine. And that goes on to physical features. In societies that believe that men should be strong and have beards, anything less than that doesn't work.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna just be.
But those are fantasies, I think. But like when you strip it down, when you get to reality, right? It's as simple as, okay, let's call it, what are the irreducible minimums, right? And again, to me, I say this. This is where we talk about culture and everything.
Right.
But my biggest influence, faith. It draws it up. It tells you, right, what your role as a man is, right? And so if you're not hitting, certain things, that, there's room for growth, there's things that you need to adjust to differently, right? And that's out there already. It's not something new, it's out there.
Yeah.
Now, things like when we start talking of, providing, I personally feel like that is your responsibility as a man.
For sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Regardless of whatever you grow up, culture, but faith then is the equalizer. Like we can have our theories, we can have the cultures, we can have fantasies, but faith tends to equalize. It puts what's what, right?
Yeah.
So to that extent, then I become a bit more comfortable in my role as a man, which has somehow already been defined. Like there's nothing new. And it assimilates with some, because if you see from the onset, men, hunters and gatherers, they would go out. Women as well would go out, but mostly they prepare food, things like that. But men were the gatherers. So that instills that culture of provision where it sort of creates a symmetry with your faith and now the culture.
Yeah.
So again, for you to do things like, if you're going to be providing, right? It makes sense that there are certain attributes you have, right? Perhaps you'll be a bit aggressive, you will be a bit not really using brute strength or something, but you'll be able to impose yourself in a way where
You have like confidence.
exactly, like there's just things you'll exude that makes it easier for you to play that role of being the provider.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then I think also that some people can use that as an argument to say that's where toxic masculinity comes into play. Because in a lot of households, the man is the provider, yendo kusema, that's it. Nobody else is allowed kupaza sauti. What I say goes because I pay the bills. I pay for the roof over your head, I feed you. So what I say must be what happens.
Mostly comes with ignorance, I think.
Yeah.
It comes with the relativity of it all, because you're taught something and that's the baseline, and then now according to your experiences in your life you build on that. So if you find a guy, if you genuinely in 2020, if you find a guy who says he does not clean, he does not cook, wachana na wachama, that's a lost soul, because at some point
Labda amelelewa hivyo. Kwao nyumbani
now you see-
hakubaliwa ingie jikoni, hakubaliwa kufua, kuosha.
out of
There's still some families that do that.
actually.
Yeah.
no, I know that
Families
there are
do
the, but now you as a at some point either tell university or you go to boarding school, your mom isn't there, your dad isn't there, your auntie isn't there, so what are you gonna do? Get bullied until something tragic happens?
But what if you don't? What if you go to a public day high school and you come back home?
Even then,
your mom cooks your meals, your sisters clean your room.
At some point,
Yeah.
as a human being in general, you will want to impose your own sense of being onto the world. You can't just go, you get, there's no, as a human being, at some point, let's say you're an only child and then you grow up and no one is telling you go cook for yourself, go clean for yourself, it's always done for you. And then at some point you want to pursue a career path or pursue a girl or pursue something, you know, you at the back of your mind you'll always be Mami alisema, Baba alisema, Auntie alisema, and you're crippling yourself.
Yeah.
You know? And yeah, maybe as a man, doubt is the worst thing that can happen to you. Not the worst thing, but it's a big factor in your life because through society and even through the deen, maybe you see that dini imesema hivi na hivi na hivi, lakini hujafika watu wao. Unaona? So now you're putting self-doubt that maybe I'm not the guy. Maybe
I'm not man enough.
Yeah, you're starting to see yourself.
This is what is expected of me,
exactly.
and I don't match up to it.
Yeah.
So okay, then let's talk about insecurities, just to segue from that. What are some insecurities that you think guys deal with, or you guys personally, if you're willing to share, deal with? Because you know there's this whole still like idea that men are just tough and they're not emotional, they're very emotive and don't engage, you know, and don't have insecurities. So what are some insecurities that you have recognized that the boy child currently
I love how we all
suffers?
flinched when you said
Said insecurity.
It was amazing. I see
He
myself
talked
just
about
thinking
doubt, but that's the thing. That's why I started with what is masculinity and what do we consider toxic masculinity. So according to you, if this is your definition of masculinity and you don't fit into it, then obviously some insecurities will come up. So then what are those insecurities and how do you deal with them? If society is telling you have to be a certain way and you feel like you're deviating from that or you're not fitting into that mold, then how do you deal with that? How do you tackle it?
One, I'd say I'm so big in
brotherhood.
the people, the kind of men you have around you are really going to either elevate you, you like help each other become better men, or just keep on taking from each other and you guys are enjoying it. So I feel like that helps a lot. Your boys, the guys who you chill with day in, day out, either feed you and help you guys help each other, or this me nothing, me ball, PS, my name, same cycle. And if I can't tell this guy is like, hey man, I'm a chopper. Like what you did over there is just not.
Yeah.
You don't have those kind of people who just call you out, just
Accountability.
exactly.
Yeah.
Even if it's really painful. So,
Do you have those people in your life?
right now I do. For the longest time I didn't. I thought I did. But when I started seeing some certain patterns in my life, I'm like, okay, people need me because you're the fun guy. When you're not, when you're quiet, when the ball thing doesn't work out, it's like,
What will I put
or
down?
rather people just see you go through some things. Me and a certain someone are going through something. Guys are just like, maze, utawasha PS, utapicha hizo like
Utafikiria baadaye.
kesi baadaye tuachi game alafu.
Yeah.
Like people are not even like, it's a big game. Let's say it's a big game and you're going to watch the Man U game and your brother is going through something. Maze, Amar is struggling with this certain car or in his life. And you can see it in his face, like this thing is eating him up. If you're not willing to switch off that game for me to just help him through, like, hey man, so tuongee. Maybe you don't even have the solution, but that's tuongee is good enough to just show hauko peke yako. And I feel like most men need that tuongee. Hauko peke yako. Sijui cha kusema at this moment, but just know.
But I'm here for you.
But I'm here.
Yeah.
And most dudes, I feel like, I don't know, but guys don't have a lot of. I
I feel like bado kwa hiyo, there's a way, I don't know about your realities, but then how I grew up is we are taught to communicate differently as men. I grew up with peers who emphasize mwanaume hakuna kulia. So kuna vile nitaanguka hapa hivi, mimi nidunde, mimi nitainuka, kani kulia, mimi nitalia na mtaizwa. And I feel like we still grew up with some things and we even communicate them as adults. So kwa mfano, I might be going through some things and you guys are my brothers for real. But either I feel like if I confide in you, or if I tell you I'm betraying my confidence and my courage.
Yeah.
I might feel like this just sounds too touchy-feely. I'm not so sure.
Well, they'll
I'm
see
being
you differently.
And I feel like that's
Yeah.
why having the right people. Do you feel like having the right people? Because to some extent, I know what, like that thing. I remember opening up. Okay, just
there's a two-way process, yeah? There is your internal interpretation of your own insecurities and vulnerabilities, and there is having people around you who you can communicate to and confide in. I might have people who I can like be honest with, but then do I feel secure enough, ama do I feel mature enough to open up? Unajua kuna mlango inaweza kuwa wazi lakini ni wewe haujaingia.
You're the block, yeah.
You get?
Yeah.
So we have to address both parts of the divide. That as a man, you need men in your life who are going to guide you, who are going to tell you the truth as is, who you can be brutally honest with about the lowest things in your life. And as an individual, it's your responsibility to yourself to look for the help you need, to take the step to approach these people.
Yeah. And I guess to be secure in yourself, so that you know that opening up does not make you less of a man, or struggling with something, or telling your friends wouldn't make you look less of a man. Yeah.
Maybe just picking it up from this.
Yeah.
Again, any environment you're in should be one that builds you, not one that tears you down, right? And then if you're hanging out with your boys, you also want it to be a safe space.
For sure.
Right? You want to be able to be you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a way in which, even though you shut down the PS thing, I think it comes back to what's your language. Like, I like to say, what's your love language, right? How do you express that now you care about someone? I noticed that you also bleed when I say love.
Yeah.
Love.
Like
I
insecurity,
did it,
love.
not denied.
Still, there are things that we're not comfortable talking about, right? Like can you tell your brother, I love you? Can you do that?
Not there yet.
Exactly,
Not
right?
there yet.
Why? Because we've not been socialized.
Someone na Kiswahili pia nakupenda.
Nakupenda.
Yeah.
So,
And then what do they say back? Nakupenda
Not
pia.
there yet.
I mean,
once
Yeah.
we define like how I show you I care and how you show me you care, it could be as simple as, you came, I see like you're drowning in sorrow, I'm switching on that PS, you get it?
Yeah, to get your mind
that's
off
our way
it.
to
Yeah.
get it. It could be maybe I'm the dude who'll pull you aside and like, bro, what's going on, right? So I think the first thing is you need that emotional awareness and intelligence to know what
the
it
situation
means
was.
to this person, like what when he's silent, when he's calm, when we're playing PS, when we're just not talking, when we're just reading or something, what that means for us, because then we will act appropriately.
Yeah.
I think lacking that awareness, that is the biggest detriment to any, sort of relationship that you have. So then you become comfortable and you start feeling like, you get it, this is an environment where I can be myself.
Yeah.
I may not be the one who opens up, but I know my boy has my back. If something needs to happen, maybe I'll not tell you, what, I feel like I'm broke and I need something, but you just utashanga mtu ametoa kitu tu amekupea, you don't even you get it.
Yeah.
And you also would be weirded out because you understand that.
Yeah.
The way they communicate that.
So EQ.
Now that we brought that up, I'm curious, like, what is your, like,
Love language.
yeah, what is your care language?
Why can't you not say love?
I am
What is
Don't
it?
say
getting
it.
there, I have not gotten there.
Enunciate it.
La.
La.
Fine, what is your love language?
Like personally, I feel like crossed that bridge for even saying I love you, man. Like in 28, man, after I get back to Kenya. It was beef. And I also got to a place where I really don't care. Personality wise, I'm that person, I'm like, man. Fura ni free. Like there's some things I actually don't like. If all guys here must say in brown, if I believe it's not in a bad way,
Yeah.
but I've known myself to the point where I'm like, this is how I'm feeling.
you live in
Yeah.
your truth, yeah.
And that's my truth. That's my
Yeah.
truth. I'm not trying like what you believe me, especially if I see coming in an attacking kind of way. They don't even get peace. Just like it's out, man. You are where you are. I'm not higher or lower,
Yeah.
but you are just where you are.
Yeah.
And it's out. Hopefully, if we are friends, tutapatana siku moja in that kind of level, but I'll still rock with you. But I know how to, as you said, EQ.
Yeah.
I know how to handle you, and you know how to handle me. Pishani ati you're this, you're that.
Yeah.
But things like now, hey, so this is, I don't know if this is TMI, but whatever.
I should.
Personally, I've hugged my dad once.
Walai.
And that once was still never for.
Ah, yeah, boys,
For the longest time, I didn't know that hurt me. But I didn't know until I broke. You know, once I used to put my identity in Futa.
Yeah.
So you put your all in this one thing.
Yeah. It's
So
who
when
you
it's
are.
gone, who am I? I started
looking
thinking
for yourself,
exactly.
yeah.
Like, what is Ashimo? This is how I feel about a girl does something like, wow, you didn't know this hard. Because before you had this confidence, like,
Yeah.
you need to do have it. But I was like, wow, I'm actually feeling super sad about it. And you feel like even you saying it, it looks small.
Yeah.
But in a Puma, you're like, where? I never thought this small thing would hurt me to this extent. Then I started tracking them, I'm like, yep, I'm dry. Step ups. So there's a time where I had to sit down with him and I was like, I'm getting to the place where now and I core, I don't want to carry this unnecessary
Emotional baggage.
to
Yeah.
my wife and family. So I had to sit down with Pops, even him while he's still here,
Yeah.
see what you can. Bado yana shida mob. The old,
Old way of
but
parenting.
I saw that he even respected that. I was like,
Yeah. But you know, our parents are the sum of their experiences.
exactly. I'm like, those are
And
those.
he can only do as much as he knows and what he was given. So maybe that's how his parents showed him love, and that's how his father interacted with him, and that's how he interprets it as showing he cares and loves you. Yeah. Okay.
What did you ask again? Sorry.
Love language.
What is your love?
Yeah, I was about to go
I
back.
feel like, sorry.
I think he should start since
huggy.
it's a touchy subject. Yeah.
I think for me, my love language between men is it's being there, literally.
Yeah.
And the most basic form of being there for you, bro, is just to be an ear. It's for me, it's the thing that requires the least form of any other resources, and it's the thing that most men lack in our generation. I have a guy I can call up if I need cash. I have a guy I can call up if I need him to be my wingman for a girl. I have a guy I can call up if I need drugs. I'm on set, I know. But then, how many guys do I have? How many guys do you have when you need that figure? Be like, hey man, you know what? I feel like I'm not being enough for my girlfriend, man. Najisikia, I feel like I'm not being money. How many guys do you have when you can call up and tell them, these days, I just feel off. I don't feel like I'm doing enough for myself. Find that those ones are the fewest we have, even amongst our circles. And for me, that is my care language. I haven't exactly created the most ideal environment for people around me, but I feel like I've made progress in my adult life.
Yeah. Amar, what's your love language? Or care language?
Nah, love is okay. Love and care, it's the same thing. For me, it's in general, it's reassurance.
Yeah.
Because for me, I don't want to say I battle with doubts, but I obsess over small details a lot. So you might say like one thing in passing, but it could
Sticks.
yeah, for like 2 weeks in a bakituka kichwa. Anytime maybe I think of you or I think of my boy or I think of something, it comes back immediately, you know? So yeah, so for me it's mostly reassurance, just telling me like, you know, like Nikki Parker, if I fail, bro, go outside. Yeah, that does not work, you know. Or maybe they come approach, they're like, yo, what's going on? I've been seeing that, you know, you've been chilling uko peke yako, labda unaenda home mapema nini, you don't hang out with us anymore, what's going on? You know, stuff like that. Because yeah, it's just being there for someone else. Because at your PS, like naweza come tucheze PS, through your PS unaniongelesha through mashida zako zote, you get. But I was there, tulikuwa tunafanya kitu ujinga, but you know, something came out of it, you know. So yeah, being there is a very big thing, especially as a guy, because again, our parents, they, like, honest to God, they do not deal with things the way we deal with things. You know, it's completely different.
Yeah.
Doubt if sometimes they deal with things at all. Highly doubt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you see, so us we're in a generation where like we're openly having this discussion, it's easier for you to have a discussion and then be in your feelings than not have that discussion at all.
Yeah.
Whether the discussion is good or bad, it's hard.
Yeah.
Alafu story inaendelea. You get, but our parents, maybe like you find that you're fighting with them a lot, but you're just trying to get a message across.
Yeah.
It's a very simple message. Lakini budako amekam na vita, matako amekam na vita. Uko tu hapo, you're just like, bro, I just wanted kidogo cash. Yeah, kuchill na mabesti zangu. Sasa hizi vitu zingine zote.
Yeah.
And the thing for having people in your contacts, I have. It's funny. It's a relationship. It's a friendship that imekuja maybe like in the last 2 years, and it came si bahati mbaya, but it came without you realizing. You just chill with this person and then you realize kando ya the boys ujamaa kuna emotional intelligence. Kuna venye anaweza speak his words. He can come, he can open up to you and not feel a certain type of way. And for me, I resonate with that, because if you show me that you care up to this level, then why shouldn't I open up? Because it's not fair for you to come to me and tell me all your problems. Mimi niko hapo tu. Usijali
even unaenda
unaona pia mimi nimepitia, and then you make the thing about cheer. Pia mimi nilikuwa kuna mtu alinifia, unaona nini. So you're telling them but you're not really helping them. You're just saying you've gone through that as well. So this person is a very good friend of mine. It's someone I can talk to, like I can emotionally open up if I genuinely I feel like siwezi geukia kwa mdangu, siwezi geukia kwa my bros. And I have 2 brothers, but your relationship, we can talk about it later. But it's an interesting relationship, because you grow up together, you have your own love language. Sasa yetu ndio hiyo, yes. Ama you mnachongoana, ama mnafurahiana shit, you get, that's how we
communicate.
Yeah, but now my friend, I'm happy to have such a friend, because we had the boys group, but like you said, si wote mnaweza gel. Labda wao mkishikana hivyo ni time ya ball, time ya PS, time ya kukula happy. Lakini any other time hata kupigiana simu ni ngumu sana. Ama mkipigiana simu ni form, bro, maze form ni gani leo? Uko home? Zizi, unaona na Snapchat. Unaona. But the other friend, so it's good as a guy at least have one person. Unaona, ikuwe budako, babu yako, uncle wako, cousin, you get.
Yeah. What's your love language?
My love language, I think I'm more of a carer, like time. That's my love language. Like when I give you my time, that's my way of showing you that, you know what?
I care.
You matter to me.
Yeah.
You're a big deal to me. Because it's not like I'm the busiest person on earth, right? But I prefer me being me. Right?
Yeah.
I'm that guy who will go to a theater and watch a movie all by myself, and I'm good with it.
Which
I'll
is
go
good,
out,
by the
I'll
way.
dine by myself, and I'm good with it, right?
Yeah.
So when I actually, when I give my time to people, I feel like that's something precious they're taking away from me. So then that's my way of communicating that, you know what, you're actually a big deal to me if I can give you my time.
Yeah.
Say someone just called you and like, could you stop over for a bit? Yeah. If I show up, then you know you're a big deal. You know what, I'll be like, I was thinking of maybe like not being here right now. I'll probably come up with something. So I'm also an oversharer, but then that only happens to the real people.
You're comfortable.
Probably 1 or 2 my entire life, right? Who have just ever been real with me and have known. If I think about it, there aren't too many people who know my from start to where it is right now. Like even the 2 I'm talking about, they know bits and pieces.
Yeah.
Right? So, and that comes from growing up in a way that you don't, that's not normal. Like you don't always have people you can reach out to and have some real conversations with.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest challenge for us growing up right now, the 21st century man or young men. It's to figure out that it's okay for you to be vulnerable and show your vulnerabilities,
True.
but to other men as well in community.
Yeah.
So sometimes I say for our folks it was easier, not easier in easier in the practical sense, right? Like they were doers, you're a hammer, you're a nail, like a hammer, just needs to be put down, right?
Yeah.
They were so much into doing, right? We're into now the experience of it all, right? How it feels when you do it, right? Are you doing it the right way? So that's where I think the biggest conflict lies between their generation and us, and that's when.
Or it's the details.
Exactly. If you focus on let's take a bit about the Western world, right? You'll see guys with their kids, young kids from a very tender age, like spending time, bonding, trying to do things, and then it's like what you say now. Their definition of I'm teaching you how to be a man.
Yeah.
Let's go fishing, right? Let's go kart racing or something. So what was it that you did that threw you in there and you felt like, you know what, I learned this from my dad and this is how
Created
we're
a
supposed
bond.
to be.
Yeah.
So that's the bit I think we need to figure out for ourselves. And we need to be okay with if we break down at some point. I feel like that's okay, that's perfectly okay. As I said, if this space is not safe, then you best not be in. If you can really let your guard down, that's to me what a safe space is.
Yeah.
If you can bring down your guard and be your most vulnerable and their self, then it's not helping you grow.
So, do you guys think society has failed the boy child in any aspects? Yeah?
What?
Do you think that society has failed the boy child?
Society has been a question. Society.
Yeah, do you think
Sounds loaded,
society...
yeah? Sounds loaded.
It's not. It's pretty straightforward. Because over the last decade, like a lot of emphasis has been on empowering the girl child. And it's understandable considering like before, like 30, 40 years ago, a woman's education was not a priority. The boy was the one who they focused on. The woman stayed at home and learned how to cook and take care of the home. And that worked then, but then the women empowerment movement came about and a lot of focus was put on empowering the girl because she had been at a disadvantage for a really long time. So then in that process was the boy child forgotten? Was he pushed to the side? Was the focus only on the girl? And now there's like a generation of lost boys functioning as men in society? It's just a question.
I think that before we discuss or understand gender, we have to accept our humanity before we accept our masculinity or femininity. And society has failed the boy child and the guy child by failing to define basic humanity before defining gender. A significant part of the conversation that we've had here is on being vulnerable and communication, and you'd find that that's not a man thing, that's a human thing.
Sure.
Like, in a way, we've divided the genders beyond just the basic human nature, such that we've taken away some things that are just basic. Two, society might have failed the boy child because of emphasis on gender roles. And I believe that gender roles and how we perceive them and how that has changed over time is also part of the reason why we've had women empowerment, where we realize that girls can do just way more than cook and everything. Like, being able to cook or not being able to cook has nothing to do with you being a girl.
Everybody's gotta eat.
The same way we have to break that down in terms of masculinity, where being able to do a sport or being able to do da-da-da-da has nothing to do with you being a man. That's my take.
Yeah, but don't you think society is the one that made those definitions, right?
It did.
Because even from like a religious perspective, in Islam, a woman was given so many freedoms before this whole movement for women empowerment. We have a history of women being in literature and like even fighting wars. So it's not like this just what has been like, you know, the norm from the beginning. Somewhere along the line, we deviated and we decided this is the box we'll fit men in and this is the box we'll fit women in, and then that's what we're comfortable with. And I think as a collective, we became complicit with it and we accepted it and we perpetuated it for generation and generation to a point where now that became our baseline. And now with our generation, we're trying to find our way back to how society used to function. We have women who ruled kingdoms in the 1800s and 1700s. And why is it in the 1960s women had to fight for the right to vote, to have an opinion, you know, to go to school and things like that. So I think in that regard, in my opinion, society has failed the boy child, because we decided this is what a man is and this is what a woman is. And then along the way, when this whole movement for women empowerment came about, we put the men in a box and we're like, we'll deal with you later. And we focused all our efforts. How many organizations do you know that work within the girl child sector? But then how many can you mention that actually focus on the boy child? You know, be it education, be it empowerment, be it anything. Can you name like 5 of them?
What? Even one is
Can
hard.
barely name
One.
two.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think?
I don't know. For that, I solely fall back on religion, because you're taught that the woman is the most important part of like your life, your house. You know, you're told, although it's not like it's not what is it called? Like a certified hadith, but yeah, paradise lies under the feet of the mother. You see, that's a thing you're told when you're growing up.
Yeah.
So ukienda ukiona mazako, manti zako, nyanyako, you're just like, hi, this is. And then as you grow up and become a man, you realize the role that they play in society and in your life. You know, you might lose someone in your life and it has a very, very strong impact, because this is someone who took care of you when you're a baby. No, not like ukianguka, ukiwa mtu ukianguka, the first thing that comes out of your mouth is not daddy, ni mommy. Mommy, guy. No. So those things, I don't think society has failed the boy child, because if you look at it from that angle,
Yeah.
Men still have the most jobs, most high-paying jobs.
Yeah.
Men still are to go across society more than women. You guys are still fighting for your,
I feel like
to some extent.
Really?
Statistically, yeah.
No, like with statistics is one thing, yeah? We can say the number of like disproportionate like women who are suffering or whatever, it's higher. Let's say that.
No,
But at the same time,
for suffering is higher.
yeah.
But in terms of, okay, let's say a man is violent with his wife. There was a gender-based violence live talk on IG from some acquaintances of mine,
Yeah.
and they were telling a story. It was a girl and a boy. They were telling a story, and the girl was telling a story of how she was walking down Bagazi Way, and there was a guy who was literally beating a woman because of something to do with alcohol. Like alikuwa jisaviwa bia ya kutosha or something like that. Some stupid thing. Or mwanamke alichapwa from high rise, get your high rise, hadi hiyo total iko hapo Mbagazi. Alichapwa hiyo njia yote. Hiyo njia yote akipigwa tu akivutwa tu akipigwa tu. Hiyo time yote, not a single guy stepped in.
Yeah.
Not a single guy stepped in. So if you say,
But don't you think that's a reason why we can say society has failed our men? Has failed the boy child?
yeah, if it's in that angle,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure. But there are powers that have been given to us because we were born men. You get some
True.
things that are let go.
True, but think about it. As a woman, people are more willing to hear my story if I go through any form of abuse compared to another man speaking up.
True.
A man is frowned upon if he says his wife actually abuses him.
Yeah.
But a woman is welcomed and given resources and is given a platform to speak out. So in that regard,
In that
who's
regard,
at it.
then,
Yeah, because we have to look at society like as a collective. If we single out bits, we can see where women are favored more, and we can see where men are favored more. I think we have aspects that fall on each side, but in general, holistically, who functions now in society as, I don't want to say fully functioning adult, but as an emotionally aware and contributing member of society, and is being given resources to be able to function that way.
Yeah,
Men?
So
Women,
I
right?
would say this.
Yeah.
Right? It's not has society failed men, right? Society has failed society.
True.
It's failed both men and women.
Because if men fail, women are failing either way.
Just think about it, right?
Yeah.
Again, coming from a faith-based perspective, there's a way you are meant to live in this life. 1400 years ago, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us, gave us in his last sermon, like he raised the rank of women. He fought about women inheriting, about women being empowered and educated. So those are things that have been there 1400 years ago, right? Now we decided we need to figure it out on our own,
Yeah.
right? Like all of a sudden we needed to start unraveling. We're like, no, this is it, this is it, this is it. That's where we messed up as society. So then we muddled the lines, we muddled whatever roles are there to the extent of now we're starting to box it up and say this is for men, this is for women,
Yeah.
right? It was so organic, right? Because again, I say it depends with your own dynamic, right? Perhaps you're a man who's comfortable, you're a lady who's comfortable cooking 7 days in a week. Perhaps you're one of those ladies who will be like, you know, I'll cook 2 days, my man will cook 2 days. It's your dynamic, right? But the problem is society now wants you to think that if you think of cooking 7 days a week, right?
Something's wrong.
That way there's a mess.
Yeah.
If you think as a man you want to cook twice, oh, mekalio or something.
Yeah.
So my biggest qualm came when, because we wanted to also continue raising the rank of women, we decided it's a battle against men,
Exactly.
right? We didn't decide that we need to empower people. We decided that to empower women, we need to disempower the men,
Yeah.
right? That's why when you cite how many organizations and institutions are there to fight for women's rights, there's a ton versus for men.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that we still don't experience, we still don't go through things, we still don't need them.
Yeah.
And if I even pick up from your example of this lady being beaten from Magadi to the Tota, from high rise to Tota, you mentioned one thing. You said that whole way there was no man who came to assist, right? Where were the women,
Yeah.
right? Where were the women? Because again, society has told you, and if I think about it, is that it's a man who's supposed to intervene. If we focus on humanity as enshrined and as governed by our constitution, which is our book, the Quran will say that that situation should not have occurred.
At all.
You get it?
Completely.
And that person should have been held accountable and responsible. So then if it's an issue of enforcement, and you say that maybe he was a strong man, he needed men to come and fight him off, that makes sense. But if our minds directly go to it that, you know what, men, they did nothing, and then a few people will sit down and be like, these men, they're so useless and all that, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like society has failed society,
Yeah.
literally, because we've broken down every beat that was already existing, that was furthering empowerment. You mentioned as back as 40 years ago, right? Women couldn't vote. But during prehistoric times, Rasul says, you can consult your wife in decisions that you're making, right? Yes, you'll take the decision finally, maybe as a man, but you consult your wife like there is input to be gotten.
Yeah.
So we skipped a lot, we just cover that up, and then we're starting to reinvent.
Yeah, we created
That's-
boxes,
Exactly.
tried to fit ourselves in there, and now we cannot fit, then we don't know what to do about it. And that's why we're like scattering and trying to figure these things out. And if you notice, we're slowly going back to what we used to do 1400 years ago and how society used to function. Because we've noticed what we've tried to invent for ourselves does not work. Because there was already a natural synergy that happened between both sexes, and it functioned well, and that's why we thrived as a society. And then along the way, we let egos and everything else come into play, and now we're scattering. Everyone's trying to show their dominance.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, in that process, the women's voices became louder. They got more priority, and the boy child was pushed to the side. Because I can say society failed that man who was beating up this woman. Because unfortunately, he feels how he can exercise his right as a man is by laying his hands on this woman. Why did he feel this was the only way he could resort to? Clearly, because society has taught him this is how you can exert your power, or it has shown him.
Also, it could have been the alcohol, but
So thank you guys for opening up at Kama Ni Kidogo. I noticed nobody said their insecurities. My question was, yeah, everybody bypassed my question.
Makes sense for part 2.
Yeah, part 2, inshallah. But yeah, for the essence of time, we'll bookmark that till next episode. But thank you guys for sharing. And I think the takeaway, especially for boys and for men right now in the 21st century, is creating safe spaces. Like all of you have said, find your people who accept you for who you truly are, not who they expect you to be, and build those friendships and those relationships.
And find your truth.
And find your truth. True. Okay.
yeah, those people better build you up.
I'm trying to wrap up. So guys, thanks for watching this episode. Please contribute in the comments down below, and see you in the next one, inshallah. Bye.